What is up, guys? DRC3 here, back with another My Hero Ultra Impact video, and today we are going to be doing a passer poll for the new upcoming Impact Fest Aizawa and the new upcoming Dark Vigilante Deku. And we're going to be talking about which banner you should be pulling on because they have put them so close together for their release dates. So for the Aizawa banner, the Impact Fest banner, that is going to be coming out on the 28th of March. And then for the Think Back Class A Memories Recruit for Vigilante Deku banner, that is going to be coming out on the 1st of April. So pretty close together, and you're honestly probably going to have to make a choice on who you summon for. I doubt a whole lot of people are going to have the hero gems to summon for both, at least to get a copy of both. And especially with all the recent Impact Fest reruns that have been going on, you probably already wasted a lot of hero gems and you're like, oh man, they're dropping these characters at the worst possible time. But it is what it is, and we have to decide who we're going to pull on. So with all that said, we're going to take a look at Aizawa's kit, and we're going to take a look at Deku's kit and decide which character is worth pulling for more. And then at the end, we'll take a look at the SR memories and SR characters that are featured on this banner right here. Just to note, on the Impact Fest banner with Aizawa, there are no new UR memories or SR memories. It is literally just the character you're pulling for. So that already might be a factor in your decision as we go into this. All right, so Heroes Assemble Shota Aizawa. I am not exaggerating when I say this is going to be probably the best Aizawa in game. He's going to take Yellow Aizawa's place realistically because he does what Yellow Aizawa does, but better. So here we go. His plus ultra move is called Obliterating Sword, cancels all temporary buffs of a single opponent, deals 650% damage to a single opponent, high chance 70% of sealing the opponent's skills for 3 turns. 3 turns is really good. Medium chance 45% of causing the opponent to bleed for 3 turns. That is a double status element on his plus ultra, which is amazing for VE Tower. A 70% chance to seal is pretty good. I did look at the unique EX auto skills and there was no like additional chance of sealing, so that's the highest it's going to get, is 70% chance of sealing, but that's still really not too bad for this character, and for a fantasy character 70% is pretty good for sealing, and 3 turns is really good. His first action skill is called Erasure, cancels 3 temporary buffs of a single opponent, decreases the opponent's power by 25% for 3 turns, decreases the opponent's defense by 30% for 3 turns, medium chance 45% of sealing the opponent's skills for 3 turns. So that is another status element because you have the medium chance of sealing. 45% is still decent. It's not the greatest. I wish they could have just kept like a high chance on that as well, but that's probably asking a little bit too much. And then decreasing the opponent's power by 25% is okay, but it's only a single opponent. And we have other characters that do similar things like the Christmas Sue or the New Year's Todoroki who decrease power, and it's just like you don't see them really being used in PvP. So that's not really going to be super useful in PvP, especially when it's a single targeted enemy. If it was multi-targeted enemies, like this action skill applied to all enemies, that'd be very different, but because it's a single targeted enemy, it's not that great. Also, this action skill doesn't do damage, so that's also kind of a downside to it, but then it decreases the opponent's defense by 30%. This could be a good option for people if they don't have a character with like Pierce to take on the Kirishima in the current meta. So this could decrease that Kirishima's defense by 30% and actually give you a chance to kill him. So it does have its uses right here, and that could be decent. And then this also cancels 3 temporary buffs of a single opponent. 3 temporary buffs, it's not, once again, not really going to be all that useful. This action skill right here, honestly, in my opinion, is kind of what brings him down. I would say he would be a lot better if he didn't have this action skill and he had a different action skill in place of it. The only thing that really saves this action skill right here is the medium chance 45% of sealing the opponent's skills for 3 turns. That's pretty good, and it says opponents like this, so that is not plural, that is a single opponent. Cooldown time of 4 on the cooldown. That is a good cooldown time for VE Tower though, so far he's looking like a VE Tower character. And for his second action skill, Binding Assault, deals 425% damage to a single opponent, medium chance 50% of binding the opponent for 2 turns. That's pretty good. 50% is pretty good. I wish it was 3 turns still because yeah, but it's all right. We'll take it for an action skill. Increases characters plus ultra gauge by 40%, which is really good. Increasing plus ultra is always good, especially in VE Tower. And then also increases skill impact by 30% if opponent is affected by power down, which a lot of times you will end up being powered down. For a cooldown time of 4, again, this character is looking very, very good for VE Tower because he has status element plus ultra gauge raise on this action skill, double status elements on his plus ultra. He's going to be amazing for VE Tower, and cooldown times of 4, which is also really, really good. Then his first auto skill is called Thorough Preparation, cancels one of character's status elements every turn, also increases speed of all pro hero allies by 25%. Canceling status elements, this is looking like it was designed for PvP, right? And then increasing speed of all pro hero allies also for PvP. But I'm going to tell you right now, and as sad as this may be, or as much as it may hurt you, as much as you may love Aizawa, he is not going to be a PvP character. He is definitely going to be a VE Tower PvE character, and he's just not going to have a whole lot of place in PvP, at least with the way PvP is right now. Maybe in the future that changes, but I just don't see him being super great in PvP. So keep that in mind when you're pulling for characters. If you are wanting a phenomenal VE Tower character, this guy is your guy. But if you're wanting a PvP character, probably not this guy. And then for the auto skill, the second auto skill, Logical Thinking, it gives character the ability to evade one time after receiving an attack from an opponent with Piercing Shot. This is once again feels like it was designed for PvP, but if you get hit by Piercing Shot, I don't know how tanky this Aizawa is really going to be looking at his stats over here, but if you get hit by Piercing Shot, you're probably dead. So I don't really know how useful that is. That's kind of just a weird one. And then gives character a barrier that nullifies one hit after receiving an attack from an opponent with Bullseye. Once again, Bullseye getting hit by you get a barrier. That's fine, I guess. It's just not it's just not great, right? It's just whatever. Also increases character skill impact by 10% when used in a successfully executed skill chain up to 6 times. This saves the character right here even more and just reaffirms to me that this is going to be a VE Tower character. I feel like they tried to throw some PvP stuff in here, but the PvP stuff is just subpar and garbage and not really very good. But this part right here, giving both of your action skills technical hits, is massive. So now he has technical hits, double technical hit on this one actually, because he has the technical hit from here and the technical hit from decreasing the opponent's stats. So double technical hit on that, which is massive. So he's getting double technical hit, double status element, this, and 4-turn cooldowns. This guy is going to be a ridiculous VE Tower unit. So when it comes to kits, he is going to be a very, very good VE Tower unit. And then when it comes to arts, his art is honestly, I'm usually very, very impressed with the art team, and a lot of my previous videos I say how impressed I am with the art. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with this Aizawa. I'm not super impressed with him. I feel like his sword's even hidden behind all the effects here. He does have a sword there and it's hard to see. So yeah, I feel like they could have done a little bit better job with his art personally. So if you're pulling for art, I actually probably wouldn't pull for this fantasy character's art alone. But if you're pulling for kits, if you're pulling for the fact that you love Aizawa, then you might want to pull for him. But let's take a look at Deku and see who has more value. So, Lonely Battle Vigilante Deku is finally here, and I did a community poll where I wanted to see who was pulling for what and who thought they wanted Aizawa, who thought they wanted Deku, and it looked like a majority of you guys all wanted this Deku. Now, I am going to say before we even get into his kit, he is a general pull unit. If you don't pull him on the banner right away, you will be able to pull him later at pretty much any given date. The Aizawa, on the other hand, is an Impact Fest unit. You will not be able to pull him again anytime soon. You're going to have to wait to pull him. So that should give you guys an idea maybe of what you want to pull for right off the back. But we have to take a look at how good this character is, and then you guys will have to decide for yourselves which one is worth it to you. But I just, after seeing the community poll and seeing what people think, I think the character Vigilante Deku, obviously very hype. I want him because he's hype. Like, he could be garbage, he could have a garbage kit, and I would still want him. And I still feel I feel like that's how a lot of people feel. But if you're playing for kits, if you're playing to make the best teams possible, just take into consideration that Aizawa is an Impact Fest character. You won't be able to get him again for a while, so if you miss out on him, that might end up hurting you. So the plus ultra move for Deku is called Manchester Smash. It deals 650% damage to a single opponent. Medium chance, 50% of stunning the opponent for 2 turns. Medium chance, you saw it was a high chance on Aizawa. They could have at least given him a high chance here, but he is a general pull unit, so it is what it is. But they only give him 2 turns of a stun too. Like, it's not great to me. It's not great. I feel like that's a little underwhelming for a character that's so hype and like supposed to be so cool. They could have done a little bit more than a medium chance of stunning for 2 turns right there. But then it continues. When character's Fajin is 10 or higher, shortens character's action skill cooldown time by 2. So that's really good. Shortening, getting 10 or higher Fajin is fairly easy to do actually when you do the math, and I'll explain the math a little bit here in a minute, but that turns these into cooldown times of 3. So cooldown times of 3 on a character is actually phenomenal and really, really good. So that's solid. That is actually really solid. When character's Fajin is 30 or higher, makes character ecstatic for 8 turns and increases power by 60% for 8 turns. Once again, that is really good. The problem is getting to Fajin 30 is actually more difficult than you'd think, unless you have certain conditions met, which I'll talk about. When character's Fajin is 30 or higher, increases critical hit rate by 60%. 60% critical hit rate is massive, and I do believe this is only for this plus ultra. I don't think that's a permanent buff the way it's worded. So it's not like when character's Fajin is 30 or higher, they always have 60% crit. I think it's while using this plus ultra move, you get an increase of 60% crit rate when your Fajin is 30 or higher, which is still not super good. If that was like a permanent buff, like when character's Fajin is 30 or higher and you use this plus ultra move, it increases their critical hit rate by 60% permanently, that would be actually broken, but that's probably almost definitely not the case. And then when character's Fajin is 30 or higher, character's Fajin is reduced by 30, so you lose all your Fajin. And then when character's Fajin is less than 30, whenever you use this plus ultra move, character's Fajin is reduced by 6. I feel like we could have just gone without reducing it by 6 when it's less than 30, but they had to make it just harder for you to actually gain up your Fajin. So just keep in mind, whenever you use your plus ultra move, you are losing Fajin. And if you're below 30, you are losing at least 6. And then for the first action skill, Black Whip and Shoot Style deals 450% damage to a single opponent, medium chance 45% of stunning the opponent for 2 turns. Once again, medium chance. That's okay on an action skill. That's why I feel like the plus ultra should have been higher than 50%. It's a whole 5% more, like whoop-de-doo. It's that the plus ultra is literally about the same level of good as the action skill, and I feel like the plus ultra should always be slightly better than the action skill, more than just the 5% at least. So medium chance 45% of stunning the opponent for 2 turns. When character's Fajin is 10 or higher, increases character's critical hit rate by 40%, once again just for this action skill. And then when character's Fajin is 15 or higher, increases character's critical skill impact by 45%. Character's Fajin is reduced by 3, so you lose 3 Fajin when you use this action skill, so keep that in mind. But increasing critical skill impact by 45% when you have 15, and increasing your critical hit rate by 40% when you have 10 is still not bad, and then you have a chance to stun, and a cooldown time of 3 technically if you use your plus ultra move right after. So honestly, not terrible, not too bad. But here, let's explain. Now we get to action skill 2, and I can explain more about how Fajin is going to work. So action skill 2 is called Overflowing Strength. It increases character's critical hit rate by 30% for 4 turns. It increases character's plus ultra gauge by 20%, which is good. We always love a plus ultra gauge raise. And then character gains 3 Fajin. Character gains 3 Fajin when using a successfully executed skill chain, increases effect relative to number of skill chains. So this is an action skill you're going to want to use at the end of a skill chain, at the end of a 3rd successfully executed skill chain, because then you will get 9 Fajin for using it at the end of a skill chain. Plus you get 3 here just automatically for using the move, so you're getting 12 Fajin just from using this one action skill alone. Not to mention you get increased crit rate by 30% for 4 turns, which is solid, and you increase your plus ultra gauge. Like, this is a solid action skill right here, even though it doesn't have any attack stats or do damage to the opponent. This is really good with a cooldown time of 3. So 12 Fajin just from this. And then if we go down to the auto skill down here, going off the rails, character gains 1 Fajin every turn, so that's 13 Fajin. When character's Fajin is less than 15, increases character's critical hit rate by 25%, so he'll have an increased crit rate, and then increases skill impact by 3% for every 1 Fajin, which is good as well. So he's going to start to hit harder as you get more stacks of Fajin. And then on auto skill 2, Inherited Power, character gains 3 Fajin every 2 critical hits. This is an important part to the math. And then when character's Fajin is 15 or higher, increases character's power by 40%. and gives character piercing shot. Piercing shot is, as we know right now in PvP, is very good. So this character is going to be a combination of both a PvP and PvE character. I see him being somewhat balanced for both as a general pool character. Now let's talk about how the Fajin works exactly. So once again, we have 12 Fajin from this action skill. We're getting 1 Fajin from per turn from this action skill, and then every time we land a crit, we are getting 3 Fajin. So if you do that math, okay, let's say it's turn 1, we are getting 12 here, 1 here, and then you can land 1 critical hit with Deku during turn 1, so you're not actually going to get this 3 Fajin because you need 2 critical hits. Because remember, your normal attack would count as a critical hit, and then this action skill would normally count as a critical hit, but it doesn't hit them. Okay, so at most, turn 1, you can get 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Fajin, roughly, by my estimate. Now, that can change if you add in a character like Ida, or there is an SR memory that gives you double normal hits. If you have additional normal hits and you have to hit the crits, then you could potentially get an extra 3, which brings you up to 16 in turn 1. So you could potentially get 16 Fajin turn 1, but realistically, that requires 2 specific of memories, 2 specific of characters to be on your team. And so that's a little bit too gimmicky. And so let's just say for right now, it is 13 turn 1 Fajin if you don't have any additional like hit memories or characters on your team. And then turn 2, you are going to use this action skill here. This action skill is, let's say it lands a crit and then your normal attack lands a crit. You get an additional 3 Fajin, so you're at 16, right? But then you subtract 3 for using this action skill, so you're back down to 13 Fajin. So at this point, you're at 13 Fajin, and then you go ahead and you use your plus ultra. And then your plus ultra happens with just the starting effects. You don't get all these additional when character is at 30 or higher. You'll get the reduced action skill cooldown time because you're at 10, right? You have 13. So you'll get that, but you won't get the additional ecstatic for 8 turns. You won't get the increased power by 60% because you're not at 30. You're at 13 on turn number 3. And so when you do this plus ultra, it is going to subtract 6 of your 13 away from you. And if you do that math, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, you're all the way back down to 7 Fajin come the second rotation of turns. Okay, so roughly each rotation, you are gaining 7 added on to whatever you initially had. So we're going 13 plus 7, you'll be at 20 after 2 full rotations. You'll be at 27 after 3 full rotations. And by the 4th rotation of action skills and plus ultras, you'll finally be at your 30 Fajin. 4 rotations to get to your 30 Fajin, guys. That is that's the math I came up with, at least. Let me know if my math is wrong down in the comments. But yeah, so how do you get around that? How do you make this character actually viable in PvP and PvE and good to where you get the full effect of his 30 Fajin on his plus ultra? Well, it's like I said, you need a memory that's either going to give him additional normal attacks, or you need a character like Green Ida who's going to give him additional normal attacks, which allows you to stack up your Fajin faster because you'll obviously get more critical hits faster, giving you more stacks of Fajin. So yeah, this character is going to be very gimmicky. He is a general pool unit, as I said, and in theory, like, all this stuff looks really cool, right? Like, they entice you with the 8 turns of increased power, they entice you with the 8 turns of ecstatic. Like, it looks great. I'd love for that to be true, but it's kind of like the same problem we had with Green Golden Chance Bakugo, who recently came out. It takes too long to stack and get the Fajin for him to actually be useful in current in-game content. By the time you get there in VE Tower, by the time you get there in PvP, you're done with the VE Tower, you're done with the PvP match, and it's been completely pointless. So until they add end game content into the game, like, that takes longer. So for example, Dokkan Battle like added Infinite Dragon Ball History, right? That's a really long form of content where you get to see transformations and stuff like that. We need some sort of like end game long content to actually be able to see Fajin at work, and right now we just don't have that. So in the future, yes, he could be a good character, but by then there's going to be better characters than him when that content eventually comes out. So as far as this Deku goes, like, he looks amazing, right? His unawakened art looks better than the awakened art, sadly, but like his arts are still good. I like his arts better than Aizawa's. Okay, so for art alone, for character alone, I'd pull for Vigilante Deku because I like Vigilante Deku more. I think that's where everybody's at, right? But this character is a general pool character. Okay, you can pull him at any point, whereas Aizawa is an Impact Fest character. So you just got to kind of keep that in mind. And then when we really take a look at Deku's kit here, when we take a look at Fajin and do the calculations, you realize that all this stuff that looks really pretty on the outside is just kind of like a cover up. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, and he's just not as good as he looks on the surface, right? But of course we'll have to see when he gets in game. And then I still have my issue with his whole plus ultra where he smacks the ground to create smoke, and everybody's saying that's a nod towards his quirk where he's fighting Nagant. Well, if they wanted to do it, put in his freaking quirk. Don't make him hit the ground to create smoke. It's dumb. It's really, really, really dumb. At least I can't get over that either. I feel like they did him dirty on his plus ultra animation, guys. But I don't have anything against this Dark Deku, but I just am upset and sad that I feel like they find a way to make every Deku subpar in some way, shape, or form. Like they're afraid to make a good Deku in the game. So this guy, don't get me wrong, he will still be one of the best general pool Dekus in the game. He'll still be very good, but when you compare him to Aizawa, I feel like Aizawa is the better character kit-wise. I feel like Deku is the better character hype-wise, you know, because everybody wants him. But you just got to decide what you want to pull for. Do you want to pull for the hype character, or do you want to pull for the kit? And then hopefully that helps you with your decision on whether you pull for Aizawa or whether you pull for Deku. One other thing to take into account is the Deku General Pool banner is coming with a new SR character and coming with a new SR memory and UR memory, whereas Aizawa, like I said before, does not have any new memories on his banner. So you are literally just pulling to try and get Aizawa. So keep that in mind when you guys are pulling as well. So with that said, let's take a look at the SR memory, the UR memory, and the SR character and decide if they help add any value to Deku's banner. The new More is Better Ochako or Araka has a plus ultra move called Wire Blow. It deals 450% damage to a single opponent, shortens character's action skill cooldown time by 1, also increases skill impact by 20% if the opponent is affected by speed down. So she has 4 turn cooldowns essentially. That is solid for a PvE SR character. Her first action skill is called Gunhead Martial Arts, and that gives character the ability to nullify normal attacks and the ability to counter for 3 turns. Solid, very solid for an SR to counter for 3 turns. Increases character skill impact by 35% for 3 turns. Solid. Also increases character's plus ultra gauge by 25% when used in a successfully executed skill chain. Really good. She has a technical hit and she increases her plus ultra gauge. Amazing. Really, really good. Her second action skill is called Zero Satellites. Deals 300% damage to a single opponent. Decreases the opponent's speed by 25% for 3 turns. Decreases the opponent's critical hit rate by 25% for 3 turns. Skill impact is increased by 30% if the opponent is a villain. Once again, a technical hit because you are decreasing their stats. So that is good as well. Cooldown time of 4. So technical hits on both of these. No status elements though, unfortunately. But good cooldown times, technical hits, so far pretty decent SR character for VE Tower. Her first auto skill is called To Protect Your Smile. It increases max HP of all of their allies that are heroes by 20%. So she increases the max HP of your whole team, giving them more survivability in VE Tower. Once again, solid. Her last auto skill, you got to do something every 3 turns, shortens character's action skill cooldown time by 1, and increases plus ultra gauge of all allies by 15% up to 3 times. This right here is the icing on the cake because this gives her 3 turn cooldowns, potentially a 2 turn cooldown because it's every 3 turn cooldowns. This gives her 3 turn cooldowns on her action skills, which is really good. And if you know anything about VE Tower, having a 3 turn cooldown character on both action skills is going to make her like a must use in VE Tower. So just having 3 turn cooldowns is going to make her very, 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 very good in VE Tower. And then also increasing the plus ultra gauge of all allies by 15% is also very good. So this Ochako or Araka, I'm not going to lie to you, one of the better SR characters we've seen come out in a general pool in a while. I know I said the last SR character with Endeavor is good, and he is good. I would say this Ochako is on the same level as the SR Endeavor. Both of them are very, 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 very good SR characters. So she adds a ton of value to Deku's banner, and I think she's probably more valuable than Deku in some ways. Like, she's actually that good. So this is an SR character I wouldn't sleep on. I would at least do some dailies to try and get her because she is actually a very good SR character overall. And then if we take a look at her arts arts are literally, this art is better than Vigilante Deku's. I'm sorry guys, my opinion, but you know, feel free to disagree in the comments. Comments are an open place for everybody, but like this art literally looks better than Deku's in my opinion. So this more is better. Ochako or Araka, really like her kit, like her character art. There's nothing I don't like about her. She is worth pulling for. And then for the SR memory, it is called Find the Traces. Reduces damage to character by 25% when HP is 50% or higher. Once per battle, regenerates character's HP by 15% for 2 turns when HP is below 50%. Also lowers chance of getting paralyzed or stunned. It's not great. It's okay. I don't think you're ever going to have a lot of uses. Reducing damage by 25% if HP is 50% or higher. If you don't have any other defense memories in the game, this could be a good memory for Fantasy Kirishima. But realistically, if you pull for Fantasy Kirishima, you probably have better defense memories. So this is just, it's okay. It's not great. It's really just not the greatest memory. It'll work, but it's very meh. The new UR memory with these feelings. When battle regenerates character's HP, when battle starts, regenerates character's HP by 10% for 2 turns, and further regenerates character's HP by 10% for 3 turns every 3 turns, up to 3 times. Increases character's defense by 20% when regenerating HP. Shortens character's action skill cooldown time by 2 every 3 turns, up to 3 times. This gives me sort of a 10,000 points vibe. That memory with 10,000 points is like the same thing, except for 10,000 points increases max HP, and this one just regenerates HP. And I think you don't get that additional, let's see, on the 3rd turn, and reduces action skill cooldown time by 2 on the 3rd turn. Okay, yeah, so until you get this one DX'd, this doesn't even, it only does it 1 time. It only shortens your action skill cooldown time by 2 1 time on the 3rd turn, so it's really not that good of a memory. And so unless you're going to fully DX this memory, it's really not that valuable. There's already similar memories in the game, like the 10,000 points one, that do the same exact thing for the most part. The art is sick. The art team killed it on this. I love the art, but this memory, honestly, not that worth it. So in terms of banner, memories, worthless. SR character, phenomenal, really good. The Deku, he's a general pool unit. That's about what I'm going to say. He's okay for kit, not great. His arts are better than Aizawa's, but I still think like her arts are far better than his. And so take that into account how you will. I know he's a hype character. I'm hyped about him. I'm going to pull for him. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to pull for Aizawa and him realistically. And if I were to tell you guys who I want to pull for more, I want to pull for Deku more, because he is just a hype character and he looks really cool, right? But at the same time, kit-wise, if I was to tell you who I'm going to pull for, I'm going to be pulling for Aizawa, because his kit is just going to be better. It's going to be more useful in VE Tower, and I know what I'm getting with him. I'm getting a VE Tower character. He's not going to be good in PvP. This is a character that they tried to make good for PvP and PvE, and because they made him for both, he kind of falls short in both categories, just because he's not going to get his stacks fast enough for VE Tower or PvP. If it comes to endgame content, he'll find more uses, but we'll see when and if we get that endgame content, if he's even still relevant anymore. Hopefully this helps you guys out a little bit on deciding who you want to pull for. Let me know down in the comments who you're going to pull for after seeing this video. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please go down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you guys for watching. Peace.